What's going on, fam? Special edition of the Lazy Booking Podcast on A2D Radio. We got Big Dad, we got Eric Archer, and we got Birds Talk 2025 season preview. Like, subscribe, follow. Let's get going.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Who's that kid? Nick. He looks like Beaker from Muppets.
The one on FS1, Nick Wright.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah. I got something
That's
for
amazing.
I
love that.
If I get 5 women and they're all in the same room with me, we're going at it at 110%.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the Lazy Booking Podcast on A2D Radio. I am Chrome, joined as always, it seems now, my man, Eric Archer. Welcome, buddy. How are you?
Good. Happy Labor Day, everybody.
Happy
Hope
Labor
everybody's
Day.
having a fun weekend. I know in the PA Jersey area, the weather's been phenomenal. So hope everybody got to enjoy it. And I'm ready to talk some birds, baby. Love some wrestling, but also love my birds. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. Let's talk some birds. And we got the godfather himself of A2D Radio, coming fresh off of a 1 a.m. show last night on Agree to Disagree. After hanging out with me all day yesterday, Tom Arnone. What's up, buddy?
What's up? Go Birds.
Go Birds, man. Lots to talk about here. We're going to talk birds. We're going to give season predictions. We're going to talk about off-season moves. And then at the end of this, me and Eric, we're going to round it out, and we are going to give you some wrestling content, guys. But we appreciate everybody tuning in today for something special for Lazy Booking this week. And we should be, hopefully, at some point joined by our buddy who's on with us all the time, the Blue Meanie ECW and WWE legend. So I told him just hop in whenever he gets a chance. But we're going to get it rolling. And first and foremost, our opening topic, our show is brought to you by our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy. Physical locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can find them on the web at that site in front of your screen, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Any aches, pains, pre-existing or new physical issues going on, let him and his award-winning team help you out, set you on a plan, set you on track to get yourself feeling better than you have, or maybe better than ever at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Our opening topic today, boys, it's a good one. It's talked about every year, but this might finally be the year that we break this. The Philadelphia Eagles will be the first repeat NFC East Division champion since 2004. Do you agree or disagree? So anybody out there, please chime in. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear birds talk from everybody today. And again, later on, we're going to talk a little Clash in Paris as well. But let's kick it off. Let's let Big Dad kick us off here.
Yes,
We think that.
It's got a change up. It's got a Christopher Sanchez change up thrown at me right there. Definitely rolled that over.
That's the 97 mile per hour change up we were watching last night on the highlights.
Yeah, wasn't prepared for it. All right, yeah. I mean, listen, how do they not? Right? Like we look at this roster and we look at, forget what they did last year, but we look at all the returners and their leadership returning. The only thing that stops them from repeating is injuries. And it's really that simple. Like you could say them getting in their own way. I think they learn from those mistakes. Like if they come out and they want to throw the ball 35, 40 times a game and they want to try to be that offense again, right? I think they're going to end up in that 2-2 spot and they're going to have to revisit it and go back to their identity again. That'd be the only ways they get in their own way. And the only other option is guys get banged up at a high rate and you lose a lot of, key pieces to this football team because we're not as deep as we were last year, and that's not easy to do. Most teams aren't that deep in the National Football League. That's a once-in-a-decade type thing where you get that deep across the board. But now you're loaded if healthy. And if healthy, nobody's better than them. I mean, Washington might take a step back. Maybe they take a step forward. I don't know. I think Dallas is going to be better than they were last year. Forget the Micah part. They're going to be better if Dak's healthy. All right, they were like a 500 team last year without their starting quarterback. I hate the Cowboys, but call what it is. I mean, they still competed and were in a lot of games without their quarterback. So I would assume they're going to be a little bit better. Giants, better, right? Not better enough to win a division, unless they want to start the Jackson Dart for tomorrow. So I look at those teams, and none of them are there. The closest one to you is Washington. But what step does Jaden Daniels take year 2? Is it a sophomore slump? Is it what we saw last year? I don't know. But I don't think that roster is as good as ours, and I don't think I'm being a homer. So nobody in this division is as good as us. So 2 things that will stop the Eagles: injuries and them getting in their own way, which I don't think is going to happen anymore with Nick Sirianni and the staff. So I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the valid points there. I think health is going to be such a key here because you're right. I mean, depth-wise, I think when we look at the Super Bowl year too of 2017, the big difference was I don't think you realized how much depth you have. So sometimes a team can be a lot deeper than you expect it to be as well. But yeah, in terms of the skill positions and the defensive key areas, they are loaded up front. Eric?
Yeah, I mean, not to mention they're the second youngest team in the NFL. They've got Howie's done a really nice job of drafting over the last few years, and clearly last year with Quignon and Cooper DeJean, you kind of solidified part of the secondary. I mean, there's questions in the secondary, but I think up front, especially with Jalen Carter and I would expect an emergence here, Jordan Davis as well. He's kind of got that prove it year sort of potential there. So and the offense is pretty much the same. I think just one offensive lineman has changed, and then the whole rest of the team is back. So I think you got a new offensive coordinator, but Jalen's shown that he can. He doesn't need a coordinator there very long. He's a year-to-year guy, and I think he's probably used to that by now. So I think I think to Tom's point, I think the division's improved, and I think Washington has proven they've got a lot to prove as far as can they do it again. Jaden Daniels was phenomenal in his first year. I think there's going to be tape on him now, and you're going to he's going to be tested. And I think everybody's got a tougher schedule in the NFC East as well. So, and you always know that the NFC East, that those games are always competitive and they're always close. I think it's going to ultimately come down probably to that last week where you got Washington 2 of the last 3 weeks of the season. It's going to be interesting, but I don't see there being a reason besides what Tom said as far as injuries and pure unluck if is for them not repeating as NFC East champions.
Yeah, I think I agree. Obviously, I do think the division is a lot better than people expect. I am not on the bandwagon with Tom in terms of the Cowboys being better. I think best case scenario is they're as good as they were last year. I mean, listen, I'm not saying Mike is the guy that's going to get him over the top. Obviously not, because he's been there for 4 years and they haven't quite gotten over that hump. I don't know that a lot of that is necessarily his doing. I think Jerry gets in the way of a lot of things, both as an executive and as an owner. But that being said, we've seen it time and again. To really create havoc in this league, you need to be able to get to the quarterback and stop the run. Now, Mike, that may not be his specialty, but there's not many, if any, that are as good at getting to the quarterback as Micah Parsons. And when you lose not just an elite talent, a generational talent, and he is a generational talent, you just can't replace that. I don't think that they're going to be better. However, I think the Giants could be a threat this year. I said it last year, and I think people thought I was crazy. I don't know that I expect them to go to the NFC Championship game, but I thought Washington was going to be the team that was going to emerge as who we were going to have to compete with last year, and it did play out that way. And I think them obviously bringing in Scary Terry, re-signing him to an extension was huge, because I do think that would have been very difficult for Jaden Daniels to even come close to replicating what he did last year. Now, I think he's a special player, but I got to see it year 2. Because after Dak, if you remember Dak's rookie year, right? we talked about that religiously. He had like almost a historically good rookie year, and it looked like he was going to be a guy who was going to be, the top elite, top 3-4 quarterbacks of his generation. Then year 2 and 3, and we've seen how this card has played out. And I actually think Dak's a good quarterback, but he was never returned to that same form. Now we need to see that from Jaden Daniels. But when I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, you have the quarterback that's proven, the quarterback that year over year seems to get better, a guy who this team listens to, this team follows. He is the epitome of the leader. Like this fact, like going to Michael Jordan for advice in the offseason to talk about what do I need to do as a competitor to not just do it once, but keep doing it. Like that's next level stuff. Like Tom, we are as big Jordan guys as you'll find. And is there a better person on earth, or maybe not even on earth, like now, that you could have gone to have a conversation about being a competitor and winning over and over again? No,
Nobody.
There's not. No. I look at that. I don't expect that Saquon's going to run for 2,000 yards, but if we can get 1,400 yards out of him this year, guess what? You're on fire. You're cooking with gasoline at that point. I look at this team and yes, are they able, or should they have a little bit more depth in the secondary to make me feel a little bit more comfortable? Sure. But I look at the defensive front, even the offensive line, like I don't even worry that you lost to Mekhi back then, because this team and Howie has proven it. They are able to, like, they find offensive and defensive linemen like it's just picking a cherry off a tree. It's like they have such an innate ability to analyze and identify the type of talent that fits this team, fits this offense, and guys that fit the city who can handle the high stress and pressure of playing in a city like Philadelphia. So, I mean, I just – then obviously you have your wide receivers. You still have Devontae and AJ. You still have Dallas Goedert, who got an extension this offseason. I mean, and isn't it crazy, real quick? I think Eric made the point, right? Second youngest team in the NFL. How often do you find your team in a situation coming off a Super Bowl? Because when we won in 2017, it was the opposite. We were the total opposite. It was an older, aging team, and we felt like the window was like maybe another year or two, right? But man, to be the second youngest team in the NFL, have already achieved the success over the last 3 years, really, that this team has with 2 Super Bowl appearances. And then to know that you still got a lot of really high-level guys on rookie contracts is just mind-blowing to me. And, I mean, this team is set up for success, boys. So I have to agree to the poll, because there's a lot of question marks. I do think that Washington is still the team to compete with. I think the Giants are going to be a tougher team than we expect. But the elite is the elite, and that is who the Philadelphia Eagles are. They are the elite, not just of this division, of the conference.
Yeah, they're in a great spot for sure.
Lots of comments dropping in already. Don, what's up, fellas? What's going on, Don? Yes, sir. I know he's going to be feeling pretty good, I'm sure, about his Lions this year as well. We got John Castigliano. I don't know if I call Parsons generational. He's awful against the run. In order to be generational, you have to do both. Again, I don't know if it could be a personnel issue. Dallas's defensive line really hasn't been all that great over the last couple of years. I think they've had some guys that were aging. So, like, I don't know. Like, maybe you might see a different guy in Green Bay. I think you will see a different guy in Green Bay. It does have very, like, Reggie White type of feel to it. It's good to not be on the other side of it this time, but it definitely has a very Reggie White kind of a vibe to it. Let's see. FPHRO says the repeat is upon us. I sincerely fail to see another team as stacked as the Eagles right now. Oh, 100%.
Agreed.
And then John says sack predictions for Smith and Hunt. Go Birds. We can get into that momentarily, but go ahead, Dan.
I know you guys just haven't heard me say this, but we're in the crux of it. We're in the middle of what should be a dynasty, and we have to capitalize on that, right? Because you don't get these opportunities that come around often, right? As Dallas Cowboys fans know, these opportunities don't come around often, and we're in the middle of guys being signed. Like Eric said, arguably the youngest team in football, or one of the younger teams in football, especially on the defense side of the football. So when you have those things, and you got to capitalize, right? And it's not like, if we don't capitalize, it's this epic failure. No, you won a Super Bowl, right? There's no failure involved, but this is the team that out of the next 4 years should be back there twice, right? Minimum, and with the opportunity to take 2 more Lombardis home. So, it feels good to say that. We're not often the hunted, and we're not often, like 2017 felt like that, right? Like, we could do it again. But this really feels like that we're in it. We're in it. And I think we have to walk and talk like it too. Right? As a fan base. Believe it. Like, we can go back again. Why not us? Why can't we go back to a Super Bowl again? It's harder to do when you lose, not when you win.
Yeah, I feel like the days of, at least in terms of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? I mean, it is Philadelphia, and I do know that just from PTSD and post-traumatic stress of being a Philadelphia sports fan for so many years, it is constantly the mentality of things are too good to be true, so there's no way that they can be. And again, I don't know if they're going to be a dynasty, right? They throw that every year, whatever team wins, they have the dynasty conversation. I'm not going to go down that road yet. But what I totally piggyback off you on, Tom, is this team is set up for sustained success. And not just, what we constantly talk about since really the Andy Reid era, right? Where they were always in the hunt. They've honestly probably been one of the top 2 NFC, success stories since the turn of the century, right? Different era than when we were growing up Eagles fans in the 90s and stuff. But I do think that this fan base can have a little bit more swagger, and I do think more people are coming around to that. Like, it is okay to come in and say, I know my team is built to continue to succeed, and to embrace it, as opposed to, all right, we won last year, so when's the shoe drop, right? I think after last time, right, Tom, what did we say? We were like, after seeing kind of how the 2 years after played out, it was like we paid our, I guess for the Sixers in the process, it was like everything came about, and everything that would happen, we would be like, we sold our souls to get one Super Bowl. But it's like, no, we didn't actually. We actually had the right guy in place. Again, you already won the chip. And this guy, Howie, has us in a situation to get back a couple of times over the next few years. It's a special time. This is truly the golden era of Philadelphia, Eagles football, and maybe Philadelphia sports in general, in terms of the success, the sustained success that an organization in the city can have.
Yeah, they're extremely set up. I mean, I think next year they have 12 picks in the draft, something like that. I mean, they're really set up, and I think Tom brought it up where they're young, but they also can continue to be young and fill out their roster as long as Howie continues to hit on these draft picks, and that's where you can use that leverage where you have those rookies on those contracts to sign and get these extensions done on some of these players. You got a couple guys that are coming up. I think you got Jalen Carter's probably going to be due for one soon. Reed, Blankenship, and Cooper probably in a couple year or two. But it's a good position to be in, where you're drafting well, so you're able to reward your players with extensions, and then also you paid your quarterback already, so he's locked in. You've locked in your wide receivers. They're in a great spot, and I think also this year's going to be it's going to be. I think Hurts still feels like he has something to prove. Look at you just look out there. People are just saying that he's not the guy, or he's not a top 10 quarterback, and you got these guys that haven't won anything that they're rated every time I see Justin Herbert being rated over Hurts, just drives me crazy. The guy's never won. Like there's a couple other guys like Jared Goff. Okay, I would put him over Herbert, but man, like Hurts just never gets his due, and I think Hurts feeds off of that. Like he's hearing the noise, he's got to be, and I think he uses it as fuel, and he uses it in a way that's just like, you know what, I don't care what y'all are saying. I'm gonna go out and show you exactly, and he's not going to throw for 40 touchdowns. He's not like this offense is not set up for that. But that's okay.
Won't throw for 30, but he might run for 20.
Right. It's like Herbert can throw for 40 touchdowns all he wants. Yeah, if he's not winning, then who really cares? So I think I think the mentality of this team, the leadership is it just feels right. It feels different, especially Chrome. You brought up 2017. It feels so different. Like I could see the next 5 years. It's just if we're not there, we're going to be there competing for it. It's a great time to be an Eagles fan. If you're not on the bandwagon now, like I don't know how you're not. Like there's so many good guys on this team. There's so many good characters on this team. And there's so much to be proud of, and I think it's the sky's the limit for this team. I think just scratch the surface.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're 100% spot on. Again, it's so weird. Like we were big Carson guys, and like I have no problem admitting that. Especially how are you not coming out of that 2017? Honestly, for all intents and purposes, his 18 season statistically was better, and he is your prototypical quarterback, right? He's the type of guy who, and this is what drives me crazy, right? Because I'm bringing this up because of the point that you made, Eric, that you make 2 Super Bowls, you outplay like the top dog in the yard twice, guy who people are already basically putting up on a pedestal next to Tom Brady. And you had a runner-up MVP season that honestly, if he was healthy, if he didn't get hurt in that Bears game, he probably would have won the MVP that year. But I think he fell short on games. His numbers were unbelievable. I mean, there was a year I think he threw for almost 4,000 yards. And like coming out of the Carson thing, we were all so in. And everybody was. The national media still loved Carson Wentz. And I see these quarterbacks, the Justin Herberts, the Lamar Jacksons, and again, talent-wise, they are elite. They are as elite as it gets. Throw Josh Allen in there. Although Josh Allen, I think his defense failed him a couple of times when he did his job on the offensive side. But there is a such thing as being elite physically, and then there is just being an elite performer, competitor, big moment guy. And that is, to me, that's the guy that wins. That we talk about this, Tom. We've been talking about this for 2 years. I think the thing about Jalen that I just find so unbelievable is his demeanor never changes. And it really never feels like the moment gets too big or too small for him. He is laser focused when he steps in between those lines and in the hashtags. And I think that again, when you talk about what he does in the offseason, he never stops getting better. He could be a guy who one day they say, oh, yeah, he's in the top 10 elite of all time, and he would compete until he's number 1. He may not ever get there, but he will push himself until the day he hangs him up, takes his pads off, puts the helmet on the hook. He will be a guy who will compete, and that is what makes me feel so special, knowing my leader is that type of guy, and that's the type of culture that they're going to drive in that locker room. And people say what they want about Nick Sirianni. People love to ride on Nick Sirianni, but the dude just leads teams to wins. And all that outside noise, Tom, I think you said this 100 times last year. All the outside noise, right? But when you see that team and the way they respond to him, they run through a wall for him. I mean, that's everything you could ask for your other leader, your main leader, your head coach.
Yeah, it's as much as we, might think that they think this way about him, that way about him. The way they play on the football field tells me everything I need to know, right? Because you're not going to win. You're not going to go win a Super Bowl. You're not going to go deep into the playoffs if you don't respect your head coach or you don't like him. You know what I mean? Just hard to do. Hard to do.
Yep.
John asks, what do you guys expect from Bond and Campbell, the linebacker duo? I mean, listen, I think if you looked at what Bond, again, I'm going to toot my horn on this because you can go back and roll. It's on film. Film don't lie, right? I thought the Bond signing might be the most underrated signing of this team last year. And I know that Saquon was the sexy one, and it panned out more than we expected. But I felt like for the dollar value, and if you really did like a deep dive into like Saquon's production numbers, even though he didn't see the field as much as he should have, it looked like this dude had all the writings of untapped potential and talent there. And then we saw what we got last year, right? Extension 100%er. I think he was a must bring back. And for me, guys, I like Campbell. I think Campbell is going to be another special player. He's another guy who, whether it's off the field issues or it's previous existing injuries that scare teams off, would have gone much higher in the draft, but there was injury concerns from a previous existing injury. And the Eagles have found so many gems over the years that I have confidence that he's going to be able to step onto the field and be a contributor this year in a big way. Obviously, Jalen Carter a year older as well, all these young guys. But Zach Bond, to me, was the must bring back. And they did. And I expect him to once again be a huge leader on this defense.
It's amazing how many years we're clamoring for a linebacker. Like how many times over the last decade that we say, linebacker, Howie's got to draft a linebacker. We need to sign something. Like linebacker's always been, at least, I felt an opportunity that, wasn't taken advantage of. And now you're looking at it is that's something that we're really not talking about now is how solid they are right now at linebacker. I mean, I think Trotter's also one that's going to probably see some playing time, and he had a good preseason, got a lot of reps, and I think his confidence is boosted. And I think he's going to play an impact on special teams, and then coming in as well. And then you also got Nakobe Dean, who we're going to see later on in the season. I think they're solid right there at linebacker. It's pretty impressive, and totally out of the norm. Where we're going into a season and we're not talking about linebacker. We're worried about linebacker. Who's gonna stop the run? Who's gonna cover the tight end? I think we're in a good spot right now at linebacker.
Yeah, I agree, Eric. You nailed it. I mean, for years we talked about needing more, drafting it, and we have, right? Not only by free agent signings, but we've drafted well at the linebacker position over the last few years too, and it makes your room deeper and better. So, I expect big things from both of those guys, John, this year. I expect big things from this whole Eagles football team. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys because I got to go do a fantasy draft. But it's been fun.
Appreciate you, Big Dad. Little Eagles talk.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I'll be hopping back in. Good luck, buddy. I'll be hopping back in on Wednesdays with you guys soon to do some Birds talk. But, yeah, man, we appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time today. And we'll catch up with you soon, brother.
Of course. See you, boys.
Hope you feel better.
Keeping that conversation going here. So, yeah. So, John, great question on that. I agree. I think it's going to be a big year for those guys. I think what helps out too, Eric, and we talked about the linebacker position being so important to kind of lock up and solidify. Especially with what it seems how Vic Fangio likes to run his defenses. I think it just makes everybody's job easier, right? It makes the safety it makes the job of the safeties a lot easier. It makes the job, especially with those two, because the thing I love about Bond, I think, again, maybe we weren't expecting coming in. He's so quick on his feet. He's very agile going forward and backward. And I feel like he really does a good job at identifying the quarterback and or spying the quarterback and knowing, is this an RPO? Are we handing off here? Do I need to drop back and help in coverage? We saw it in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
right.
That's my thought right there. Yeah. I don't know if you watched The Kingdom or not, but
I have not gotten to watch it yet.
So I won't spoil everything. Well, I mean, we know what happens at the end, of course. But which was
it's
my
like
favorite
telling me.
episode,
It's like telling me I don't want to spoil Passions of the Christ.
Right,
okay.
right. But Mahomes has a comment about that interception being more impactful to the game than Cooper DeJean's, because they still thought, even after 17-0, that they had a chance to come back. That Bond interception just said it took the air out of the balloon. It was kind of you kind of knew this probably wasn't their day. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think they've done a nice job of identifying guys that can cover, like we said, covering tight ends, making it a little easier for the safeties, and even getting more time for the pass rush as well. I think it's all a unit out there where they all impact each other. You talk about the secondary. I think if the pass rush is able to get in, it makes the secondary's job easier, and it just trickles downhill from there. It all works. Hopefully, works out.
Yeah. And I don't doubt Howie's ability to identify the right personnel to fill in. I think Campbell and I don't know, maybe it's me. I'm a big guy on, like, you come in and you're a high level or high round draft pick, and you go to your hometown team. He's from Sicklerville, New Jersey. Went to Timber Creek High School. I just think guys are motivated to do better in those situations. Because, listen, you're playing in front of people every week that and I just think it motivates certain guys. So, I expect big things from this defense, and I'm really excited to see how this plays out. If there is a concern, and I mentioned it earlier, it is slightly the depth in the secondary. But I also feel like every year, like it's kind of like in baseball where you talk about pitching and relief pitchers, particularly, and starting pitchers. It's like you can never really have enough. Like, yes, we can win if we have, if our guys stay healthy, and that's always the conversation. But I also feel like every season, somebody tends to step up and surprise you, right? So
Yep.
I think this is an opportunity now. I'd love to see a guy like Keely Ringo maybe step up a little more this season. This is 3 years in now. He comes from a big program. He's played with a lot of these guys. So, he has flashes, but I still see mistakes that need to be tidied up. And at this point, year 3, I think would have been. So that's something that we need to hopefully get tied together. But yeah, the secondary was a little bit of a concern. You could always say health there. You can always say health, but I don't like to go down that road. I don't want to live in a world of hypothetical. Until it happens, I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, I think too, Howie won't hesitate to make a move either. If we get to halfway towards the season with the deadline, Howie's been one to make a move here and there, just to solidify a position. And if Ringo or Adoree Jackson or Bennett don't work out, there's always Howie there with a couple of those pick or two from 2026 to make a move. So hopefully it doesn't come down to that, but we've seen he won't hesitate to do that. And also look at last year, Avonte Maddox was struggling, and we got to the bye week, and look who stepped up, Cooper DeJean. and he hasn't looked back. So there's definitely a track record of people stepping up, and I think one of those guys is going to come in and between Ringo, Jackson, and Bennett. I think we get somebody there that will step up, hopefully. But I think that's where that pass rush comes into play, where if the quarterback's not getting time, it's going to make it look better in that secondary, just from the pass rush. So that's where it comes back to how much pass rush can we get, and I think there's that's going to be a big story at the beginning of the season, seeing how much pass rush we get. Carter's going to get double teamed and triple teamed every game. So who else is going to step up on that defensive front?
Yeah, there's going to be opportunity there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Don says, Chrome, how many picks Mitchell going to get this year without CJGJ interrupting him? Yeah, I mean that's another big loss, by the way.
Yeah,
but I think it depends on how you look at it. But real quick, I don't know. We'll see, Don. I mean, it was funny. I mean, he was so locked down, but he didn't have he couldn't get the turnovers because Gardner Johnson was kind of the beneficiary of, a lot of the work he was doing. I don't want to say like it's a huge loss in terms of the talent, because I think CJGJ is a very, very good player. I like him a lot. And I do think he fits this team and he fits this city. I don't want to go too far further than that, because I am a person who I try not to get too in the rumor and innuendo, Eric, if you will. But when you come here twice, and yes, we got the 2 Super Bowls with you, but you're gone. The first time you're gone, you run the fans down, you run the city down. This time, you're not even out of the city yet. And, one of the leaders of this team says, I think the future leader of this team is Reed Blankenship, and you scorched the world over that. There's a lot more to the CJGJ locker room stuff than meets the eye. But that being said, he is a very talented guy. I do think that we saw in the 2 years he was here, whether it was coincidence or not, it did seem that he did a good job at providing, a lot of assistance with the coverage. But on the other side, I think his 2 best years were here, and he can't even stay on the field everywhere else he goes. So
yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see what the dynamic is now moving forward without a Gardner Johnson again in the lineup. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see, Don. I think his numbers will go up a little bit. I agree with John on this one.
Yeah.
I like Makuba a lot. If he can
too.
get and stay on the field, I'll feel a lot better about the secondary. I'm not a huge believer in Sidney Brown. Now, I'm not out on the Sidney Brown thing yet. I think one of the things I love is aggressiveness.
Yes.
I think that if he can harness that in a little bit, though, because I do think sometimes his emotion leads to mistakes on the field. If we can reel that in a little bit and find the correct balance between playing hard and playing aggressive every play without losing your cool at points and making mistakes, I'm still in on Sidney Brown. He's a young guy. And honestly, in terms of maturity, he lost an entire season. So he's like a year behind everybody in terms of on-field experience at the pro level. But I do agree. I think Makuba could be an absolute contributor on this team.
Yeah, and I think he will contribute. I think he's gonna definitely get reps. He's gonna get time. I do think they want to see what they get out of Sidney Brown. To your point, Chrome.
You have an investment in him too, right? He's one of your own guys, and you should take that time.
Right, absolutely. And I think he's earned it. But I think also, to your point, he's had some opportunities. There's been some injuries, but also he's had opportunity to step up. So I think this is probably this is probably it. Like, are they gonna, is he gonna step up, or is it going to be next person up, which would be Makuba? But I think Makuba's going to definitely have a role on this team, special teams, and then he's going to get his shot. He's going to get his shot to shine. I think we saw a little bit of that in the preseason, and he's a ball hawk. He finds the ball, so I think and he did that at Texas as well. So I'm excited. I think he's gonna be really good.
Big program guys here too,
Yep.
And that's what Howie does, right? He goes out and he brings in these guys from these huge Big 12 and SEC programs, and a lot of times now they tend to get on the field and they tend to be big contributors. So John also says Moro Ojoma is going to have a monster year. I think the potential is there. We saw the glimpses last year. Could he be more of a contributor this year? Would love it. Anybody that can get to the quarterback, brother, I am all for it.
Absolutely. Like you said about that, it helps the secondary out. And
the opportunity is going to be there, like you said, Eric, because you know that Jalen Carter is going to face a lot of double teams and maybe even at points some triple teams. So I think it's going to be a big opportunity for him.
Yep. And no more Milton. So he's the next guy up. He's the next guy up.
Mm-hmm. Don says CJGJ is an emotional guy, really good player. Agreed. Don, he's a Lions fan, so he's had his experience with him as well. Let's see. Dubba says, does anyone have over/under for Jalen Hunt's sacks? He's an interesting name. Rob Brinkman of Eagles Talk A2D on Monday nights last year was really big on him and felt like he was going to have a breakout year. And obviously, opportunity was not there, but I do feel like, Eric, when he got the opportunity come playoff time, when Brandon Graham went down and you started seeing Nolan Smith and you started seeing Jalen Hunt on the field a lot more, I think this kid showed he has the potential to be a next man up. I guess if I'm going an over/under here, let's see what his sack number was last year.
I would say it shows that they didn't go out and sign anybody on that the defensive end position of note. So they did. They got the guy from the Giants. They got who's the what's his name? You know who I'm talking about, right? The guy. He's got the. But besides him, they didn't make a big splash. I would say. I would say there's definitely going to be opportunity. I think Vic liked what he saw, and it shows like they're gonna get their opportunity. I think Nolan took a big leap last year. I think there's and I think he's just going to continue to get better. I'm more we talk about it, the more I'm it's so exciting.
It's getting you pumped up, right?
Great time to be great time for the Birds. They're just like we said at the beginning of the show. They're good at most positions.
Ojolari.
That's it. Yep.
He's
a guy that showed flashes with the Giants. I mean, it's I think that's where again how he sees these guys that had maybe a down year or injury and scoops them up.
Yeah, listen, I'm as far as Jalen Hunt, just to throw a number out there, 1.5 sacks last year. Let's go 5.5 this year. Over. Let's go 5.5. I think he's going to have a more significant role. Oh, there he is.
Hey.
What's up, sleepy boy?
Yeah, funny thing happened on the way to the podcast.
It's all good.
Happy to be here. A little mad at myself, but happy to be here.
You're fine. Listen, we're good. We're rolling.
Yeah.
Welcoming in Brian Heffron, the Blue Meanie, ECW WWE professional wrestling legend. Recent Ring of Honor appearance too, by the way. Really cool.
Yeah. It's been really cool. AEW's got to join a residency. They invited me down for Friday and did a little something on Saturday. So, and they're right around the corner from my house. So it was kind of cool to be invited.
Yeah, and you were trending on Twitter, by the way, which Don says on here. So very cool to have you on here. Yeah, it was. I mean, you were all over my Twitter feed. So
Yep.
Appreciate you on. Super Eagles fan here, super Philadelphia sports fan. But you've been on with us a bunch before, and we're looking forward to doing these little monthly segments with you, these little monthly shows to talk birds. But we answered the question, but we want to kind of backtrack here and give you an opportunity to jump in on this. We didn't even transition off of this too long ago, so you didn't miss too much. But Philadelphia Eagles will be the first repeat NFC East Division champion since 2004. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Agree. There's just too much drama going on within the other teams in the NFC East. Just the drama in Washington with getting Scary Terry re-signed. Now you look at Micah being traded. A week before they start the season. The revolving door of quarterbacks in New York. Who's going to be their starter. And they'll have the two veterans, and they'll probably end up going with the guy they just drafted. So everybody else seems to be shuffling the cards, trying to figure out what they're going to be doing. But the Eagles have everything set in place. They know their defense, they know their offense. Even though we have a new coordinator, he's been in house. Everybody knows him, so there's not that awkward getting to know you period. Everything seems to be in place, and I guess the only thing the Eagles are short. There's sort of a question mark is the defense with the cornerback or situation, but coach seems to be confident about it. So if he's confident about it, I'm confident about it. He's got a good track record so far as a head coach of the Eagles with Nick. I'm confident they're going to repeat this year as NFC East champions, and once you get in the playoffs, let the chips fall where they may. But I'm confident.
Yeah, and they have a tough schedule too. So, but a schedule is it's just a bunch of letters and words put down on a piece of paper until you actually get out there and see what these teams are going to be able to do, right? So, I think we're overwhelmingly across the board feeling good about this season. The NFC East curse and everything. But yeah, Brian, to your point, one of the things we really talked about, Eric, you brought this up, was the youth on this team still too, right? The window is open. Like, these aren't guys that are going anywhere. These are guys who are, you have a couple of the older guys, you have the Lane Johnsons and stuff on the offensive line, but especially in that defense, so much young talent. And Zach Bond is a guy who you re-signed, so he's locked in for a while. Jalen Carter, he's going to be eligible for an extension. There's no way they let him walk. You're not going to see a Micah Parsons situation here. And I think to the benefit the Philadelphia Eagles that we didn't touch on earlier when we talk about the drama that has gone on with the Terry McLaurin and Micah Parsons and everything else. And honestly, with Dallas, it goes back to CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, and this is what they do. It's very bizarre. I really believe it says a lot for an organization when two other players in the league and the agents who represent those players, when you see what the Eagles went out and did with Saquon Barkley, they did not have to extend him and give him such a pay increase.
Right.
But when you see a team, an organization that just won a Super Bowl, who has tons of skilled players, and everybody knows they have people they're going to have to pay, say, you did your job here, and for that we are going to reward you, says a lot, because look at Cincinnati and pulling teeth for everybody to get T. Higgins over the board or over the line, Jamar Chase, and then obviously Trey Hendrickson. There are not a lot of organizations that operate the way the Eagles do, and I really believe now on a national scale And within the league, players and agents are looking at this organization as a very highly respected and desired destination to go to. It's not an accident that, the rumors of Micah might end up going in Philadelphia came out. It's because A, it's a place he would go, he would be respected and paid, and B, because their name is so highly spoken about, he knew that was going to stick it up Jerry's ass.
Yeah, one of my favorite things, Chris Long was doing an interview with Jerry Jones.
Tremendous podcaster, by the way, Chris Long.
And right over his shoulder, he had a photoshopped photo of Micah in the Eagles jersey as he was talking to Jerry. Gotta love him for that. But yeah, man. I was watching an interview with Joe Burrow, and he's like, "Yeah, the Eagles seem to pay their players somehow," and just casually drops that line. And I'm just like, the Eagles are the class of the NFL. Like you said, they didn't have to extend Saquon, but they did. You got Jalen Carter, who's going to just wreak havoc, this season. Everybody's like talking about all the defensive players who we lost. I think a lot of those players fed and got sacked because Jalen Carter takes up two, offensive linemen at a time, and I think that benefited, the people, playing safety and cornerback too, because when you got Carter and breather down your neck and you got to get rid of the ball, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Prime example, in the Super Bowl, Jalen Carter's coming up the middle, and somebody's able to get one of the offensive linemen to bump into Pat Mahomes and throw the interceptions. One of those last interceptions. So I think we're going to be good, man. Our organization is the class of the NFL. They take care of. They're going to be taking care of the players, and it seems like Howie's just starting to find his groove. He came back, after the whole Chip Kelly thing, and was a man on a mission. And here he is, close to 10 years later. After the first Super Bowl we won, it just seems like he's got the groove of knowing when to pull the trigger on deals and trades. And I think the Eagles are in his hands. This is going to be like the next years are going to be golden years for the Eagles.
Yeah, it is. And it's so funny too. Like you mentioned with Howie, right? He knows when to be in and when to be out on a player. Yeah. It's just this incredible knack. I mean, look at CJ. Brought him in, phenomenal year in 2022.
Yeah.
He goes in 2023. Obviously, has an injury. Takes a little bit of a step back. You bring him back, a motivated player to prove himself. Nails it again in 2024 in terms of what they needed from him. And then, you kind of start to see the seedlings of again, we talked about is what I believe a little bit of validity to a locker room tension, an ego that was there, and no messing around. They ship him out again, and he gets hurt again. I know his injury wasn't as bad as they expected. I don't know if at all he's missing time. I haven't really followed up with him. But it is. And Howie just, it's amazing to me because it is such a contrast from 2017 where we had an older team. Somebody said in here too, talk about Washington, right? John Castiglione says, what do you think about Washington using their cap space on aging veterans? And they really didn't improve their pass rush. So I feel like Washington is taking the approach, not necessarily a bad one, of what we did in 2017. Now, what's good about that is if you hit the lightning in a bottle, if you nail it on these aging guys, these skill players like a Debo, and the chemistry hits, you could get that 1 year where you really, like, the stars align.
Yeah.
And I think we did that in 2017. We bought in a lot of the cast-offs, the LeGarrette Blunts, the Chris Long, the what was his name? Peterson or Patrick Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Bring in Patrick Robinson.
P-Rob.
And all these, and all these guys who were, the J.J. who they said had no knees left, and these guys who were kind of cast-offs of teams, and some of them were aging veterans who some of them they thought they were going to be out of the league by then, and they came in and they just clicked, and it was next man up, and they had the right mentality to know how to win. And I feel like that's what Washington's going for. The Philadelphia Eagles now, though, are now like it's not just that they've won already and gone to 2 Super Bowls. They're so young, and not only are they youthful, where they have a lot of really high level players on rookie talents, but I think Eric brought up the draft, or was that Brian? 12 draft picks coming up for next year's draft. Like, how he just stocks.
Yep.
He fills the wallet up too.
Yep.
So that when he needs to, I got to get a deal done.
Yep.
He does, and it doesn't hurt them in terms of their draft strategy. They have the amount of picks that they need to have to be able to still do what they want in the draft and utilize some of those picks to bring in additional talent. He's a Hall of Fame general manager.
Oh
yeah. Yep. I'd go back to the Washington point too. One similarity from the 2017 team is they have a quarterback on his rookie contract, so they're able to leverage not paying their quarterback by signing veterans and going for it, kind of like you were saying, Chrome. I would say too, once they have to sign him to that extent, to that big contract, the key for Washington is going to be, are they going to be able to draft as well as the Eagles have? Are they going to be able to get these picks in that and stockpile like Howie did? Is that the formula that they're gonna try to emulate? Are they going to try to do it that way? That remains to be seen, but that just shows you like the difference of where Washington is with their roster versus where the Eagles are at with theirs. I think Washington, they're not going to be able to do that formula that they have for very much longer, especially if Daniels has another big year like he had last year. They may be in a spot that they're gonna have to extend him. They may have another year, maybe 2 more years, but they're going to be at a point where they're going to have to do that at some point with him. So it'll be interesting to see what they wind up doing. But for now, they got Deebo Samuel. I think they solidified their offensive line a little more. So they are able to do that right now. But they were able to get McLaurin done. But are they going to be able to do that for the long run? Probably not.
And I think as far as Washington goes, the Eagles seem to have have Washington's quarterback slightly figured out. Some of his worst games last year were against the Eagles. If it wasn't for Jalen getting knocked out of the one game, we probably win that game. So
they were rolling early in that game, Brian, and that looked like that was going to be a knockout punch by the end of the first half.
Yeah, if Smitty catches that pass, that's another win in the Eagles' favor. But for whatever reason, it seems like our defense has them figured out. They've got a lot of picks. They had interceptions with them, and they seem to be able to get to him. I believe this is his second year in Washington. There's going to be a little bit of a book out there on him and his tendencies, and people might be able to figure him out. So, as scary as people think Washington's going to be, I think they might have a little bit of a step, take a little step back because, they got Deebo, who's a little bit older, maybe not as quick as he was. McLaurin just got paid, so. Maybe he's a little bit comfortable, maybe not as hungry because he got paid. Who knows? But Daniels, their quarterback, I think he's going to take a little step backwards once people have him figured out and see what he does. But I love the Eagles' chances in the NFC East, to repeat and go pretty far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Double wants to know: does anyone else find the Micah Parsons trade crazy bad for both ends? I think Green Bay's good, but they won't be able to stop the run. I don't find this to be bad for Green Bay at all. They gave up Kenny Clark, who's a good player. he's been a multiple time Pro Bowler, but and I think that is that's a decent get for Dallas in terms of if you're going to get a talent back. They're not just a throw in. We're not talking about like a 6th round draft pick that they threw in here. But Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons, and one of the things Green Bay needed was somebody to get to the quarterback. So
Yes.
I can't. Yeah, and I mean, there's not many better at getting to the quarterback in the league, if anybody, than there is Micah Parsons. So I think he's a better fit for their defensive scheme than actually what he was in Dallas. I think that even though it's not necessarily his specialty, I do think that Green Bay will be able to will improve a little bit this year in terms of their run defense. So, and I don't know that he's really not good at stopping the run. I don't think Dallas's situation and the talent around the personnel set him up to be able to just dominate across the board. I mean, I felt like he was a one-man show more often than not. Even the names they had, they're aging guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see it that way. I think it's a home run for them. I think Dallas, I think this was a swing and a miss. And at first I thought, oh man, I felt like they got a pretty decent haul. When you think about it, like they didn't shop them anywhere. They didn't shop them anywhere. And it's like one of those, like, you guys ever do fantasy football and you make a trade with somebody or someone makes a trade with you and then everybody says, well, if I know you were willing to move him, I would have gave you a lot more than that. That was the entire NFL. There was 30 other teams that would have gave him more.
Yeah.
So it was just it was bizarre because those first-round picks aren't going to be high first-round picks either. So it was just super weird. It was very – Jerry is the biggest problem for the Dallas Cowboys. And until he steps away – and I don't even know if his son's going to be any better because his son, when he talks, sounds like a doofus too. Sounds like Jerry Jr. So I don't know it's going to be any better. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Here's what I see with the Micah situation. He's going to have to get acclimated to Green Bay and their system. I mean, I can't wait to see what the ratings look like after. I think Green Bay goes to Dallas week 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun to watch. But Mike also had the luxury of playing in a dome 8 games a year and playing a lot of warm weather cities. How's he going to do in the frozen tundra of Green Bay? 8 games a year and 8 games a year and traveling and getting used to that area. But then again, he played in Penn State. So
that's what I was going to say. He did play at Penn State though, and that could be Penn State could be cold when we're rolling around December and January. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So these are just things that are rolling around in my head when I try to think of this, the situation of him going there. But they traded him late, right before a week before the season. He's going to have to get used to their playbook, have to go and get used to their language, for play calling. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm just glad we're never going to we're not going to see him twice a year like we had been.
Agreed.
As much as of a game wrecker as he was, the Eagles seem to do okay against him. They seem to do okay against Mike in the sense of frustrating him. I remember one play where, Jalen goes to run, Mike is running like he's going to run up to Jalen, sack him, he just throws the ball over his head to a receiver, like you do with a kid, when you play a monkey in the middle with 2 kids, I got the ball, now you got the ball, now I got the ball, now you got the ball, and he's just standing there going, what the hell, but that's another great point. Jerry didn't even bother shopping him around. He probably could have got a bigger haul. You look at all the teams out there that need that player, and but everybody's like, oh, Dallas got 2 first-round picks. I was like, yeah, but Jerry's doing the picking. Don't worry, So I think Dallas is going to Dallas, and I think the Eagles are in just a way better position.
I do think that Jerry tends to draft fairly well. I'm not saying that everybody's going to be Michael Parsons level. That's the thing. Like, when you're getting late round picks, you're not getting anybody that's Michael Parsons level. And you might get some contributors, But like, it's weird to me. I don't know. Like, I would have, if you got the same haul from a team, say like Cincinnati, just throwing them out there, a team that could be on, that maybe could have a higher draft pick, or I guess take them out because they're kind of really good too. Whatever, pick any mid-tier team, right? New England. New England's a team I'll throw out there because New England could either be great or New England could be fighting for the last playoff spot, which is a way better playoff position than we anticipate Green Bay having.
Yeah.
Right? They're further away than Green Bay is. At least you're talking like top 15, top 20. I think they're looking at like bottom first round for both of these picks. You sent him to a team that beat your ass 2 years in the Super Bowl, or I'm sorry, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And in conference, why are we sent? Forget the division in conference.
Yeah, that's what blew my mind. I for sure thought Micah was going to go to the AFC. You know, why would you hand your opponent the weapon to shoot you with? You know,
yeah, there you go. Here, let me put the bullets in real quick.
Oh, so we're going to see him during the season and possibly in the playoffs. And that's using your noodle, Jerry. But
they play. Green Bay tends to play Dallas quite a bit in the playoffs. So, like, I fully anticipate this is going to be something that's going to come back and haunt them. Well, if Dallas even makes the playoffs at this point, it's going to be something that's going to come back to haunt them for like the next 5 to 7 years.
So I just watched that Netflix documentary on the Cowboys, and they're showing that Green Bay game where just Green Bay just mopped the floor with them, and just watch Jerry watch that. It says, just get the popcorn and the soda and just be like, sit on the couch and happy. But I said on social media, this Michael Parsons trade was the greatest ending episode for a docuseries ever, because it just seemed like they could go right in line with everything that happened on that documentary.
Oh, I love it. Eric, what do you think, buddy?
Just very knee-jerk reaction. It's like they could have like said they could have shopped them at the draft. Like they could have gotten more teams to up the cost, get some more stuff. I think for Dallas, you're not going to know if it works out until those draft picks are made. I mean, I think they're looking at Dak Prescott's 32 years old. Maybe they leverage one of those picks or for the quarterback of the future. It could be that could be part of the reasoning. It could be just get him out of here. Who knows? You just don't know what they're. You don't know what Jerry's thinking at the time. I don't. I think for Green Bay, it's going to be. I think they improve, but do they improve enough? You got Detroit, you got Minnesota in that division. They may not even be the second best team in their division. Arguably, we'll see how McCarthy does in Minnesota, but there's a lot of expectations in that division. So
I'm gonna give you one of my bold takes now, because I was gonna ask for a couple bold takes, both Eagles and I think Chicago makes playoffs this year. I think this division is going to be very, very, very tough. I think Ben Johnson is going to unlock something in Caleb Williams that it will showcase a lot of the potential that people saw for him as a first overall pick. I don't think he was in a good situation. I don't think the organization did him any favors the first couple of years, and the makeup for that is bringing Ben Johnson in, who, look what he's done for Jared Goff. Like, he's been tremendous with quarterbacks. Yeah. So that's one of my bold takes. So to your point, that's I don't think they're better than Detroit, Green Bay. I think the gap is closer. I think they're a top. I still think they could make a run at it. I think that's such a fact. Like, I could see 3 teams in that division making the playoffs.
Yeah. Or it's going to be competitive.
And I think Minnesota will be the ones that are on the out.
Yeah, it definitely could be. I and they play each other twice. So those division games are going to be extremely important. Whoever can come out of those divisional games, winning more could be the difference between making the playoffs, winning the division, and missing it completely.
One thing I'll say that you said, Eric, I'm going to counteract here. How do you feel about this, Brian? I can't call this a knee-jerk reaction. Because if I'm going by what Jerry said, he said, we've been thinking about doing this since the spring, which is before the draft, which tells me that's not knee-jerk. Now, again, we're going by what Jerry said.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he thought that comment was going to quiet the critics in any way, because if anything, it made it louder. But I didn't see it all.
But why didn't you do it then? Why didn't you do it?
That's when it makes sense.
Like, if you were going to do it, then just do it. Like,
they could have got 5 draft picks for him if they traded him at the draft. Like it would have been like a Ricky Williams.
You could have traded him to Jacksonville and gotten all those. Like, don't tell me that you weren't thinking about this, and then all of a sudden, oh well, we got to pay him, and then what is just, you knew you were gonna have to pay him. You knew he was in the 5th year of his deal. Like, if you weren't gonna do it, then yeah, it just doesn't make sense. That's why I think it was like, maybe not knee jerk, but like back and forth, like being very indecisive, being Jerry, like Brian said, like it's just like, what are you doing? Who's telling you are you listening to your son? Is your son like, what's going on there? I mean, it's great for an Eagles fan, because you don't know what the heck they're doing, and I don't think they know what they're doing.
I think his son is a minion. I think his daughter proved with her comments that she's a minion. I think Jerry runs the show. I just don't think he's equipped to do it. But listen, it's like, anybody ever see the movie Greedy with Michael J. Fox and Kirk Douglas?
No.
A while ago.
Tremendous movie. Check it out. Great Michael J. Fox movie. So the whole concept is Kirk Douglas is the uncle and the patriarch of the family. Richer than shit. That's his exact words in the movie. And so what it is, it's one of those it's one of those comedies where it's like satirical, and it's supposed to show how like ridiculous and money-driven family members can be, and how they kiss ass, just to make sure they keep their portion of the inheritance. I think that's Jerry's kids. They're not rocking the boat. They're not pulling dad off the ledge. They're not going to give him the kick over, but they're not pulling him off either. They're not going to do anything to compromise their end of what's left after it's all said and done. Right. I think he's crazy, and they're trotting him out there to look like a demented old bat out there. And I think it's sad. Like, you hear Stephen A. Smith say all the time, I know Jerry Jones, and I'm a little bit concerned about. I am too. I've seen what that can do, and there's something not right there. He is either completely and utterly out of touch. He is an egomaniac. He is like,
oh yeah.
He, to bring a wrestling. He's not quite as bad, but he has a lot of like VKM, Vince McMahon tendencies, I think, in terms of step on my toes, and I'm going to get the upper hand at the end of the day. That's how I feel.
His gimmick.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, they probably hang out somewhere. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. But listen, I just think I don't think the kids have anything to do with it, Eric. I think the kids just stay out of his way. They do enough to make it so he can be presentable.
Like a placeholder. They're just like placeholders.
100%. They're
part of the chessboard.
That's right. Dad, do you want 2 or 3 ice cubes in your drink? What do you need, Dad? We got you. That's the joke.
You want this much scotch in your glass?
Yeah. Old 100%. Jerry world.
That's it. In Jerry's world, this is how we do things, okay?
Michael Parsons.
Oh man, there's a line that I can't repeat on. I won't repeat on there that he likes to say. That everybody's like, "What did he just say?" But
yeah,
like the other day on social media, I was like, I hope he lives forever.
So do I.
I did the Terry Funk. Forever, and ever.
I love that.
You know, but
Shout out to Terry.
oh,
Love that.
I love him. Oh, speaking of, if you go back and watch, I did Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor Friday. They had a little technical issue with the pay-per-view, so they put it up on YouTube for free. So go on YouTube, look up the pay-per-view from Friday. Athena, formerly Ember Moon from the WWF, goes to defend her World Women's Championship. And they announce her from Dallas, Texas, and the whole 2,300 arena starts singing the Eagles fight song at her.
I love it.
It's
And with
great.
the loud ass EAGLES Eagles. And it was like the best thing ever. You know,
me and Eric went to Dynamite.
She was a trooper about it, but you know.
Oh, for sure. Me and Eric went to Dynamite.
The pro's pro.
And there was quite a few Eagles chants that came out when Ricochet came out because he's an Eagles fan. When Samoa Joe came out, he's an Eagles fan. And then at certain points when they just wanted to troll somebody in the ring, random Eagles chants started coming out. It's so you know it's birds. I mean, you get them anyway, but it's birds. I got to tell you, we're like a cult, man, and I love it. We went to OBX. Me and Christina went to OBX with her family about a week and a half ago. And our trip got delayed because of Hurricane Aaron. So we started to – so the first day we got there, we were supposed to go Tuesday. We went Thursday. We came home on Sunday. Well, we drove down. We got there first day. It was a little bit like rainy. It was cloudy. Couldn't really go on the beach, right? Second day, you could go on the beach, but you couldn't go in the water. No problem. So, but it was sunny. It was gorgeous. A lot of rip currents. So we were like, let's just walk on the beach because if this is our only beach time we can get in, let's do it. Dude, we walk on the beach. I got it on video. We were on the beach we're walking up to the beach, maybe 5 seconds into getting on there. We hear, "Go Birds! Go Birds! Go Birds!" from all these different directions. It was like two different groups of people who, I know one of them was from the Cape May area, like South Jersey. But we were all just talking. It's like, dude, like Christina's still blown away by. I mean, she's an Eagles fan, but she's like, it's crazy. It's like a requirement that if you see the logo, you are not permitted to walk past that person without saying "Go Birds." And I feel that way. And go Birds to you.
Go Birds to you. I was like me at Disney World last year, right before the NFC Championship game. We were at Disney World before we came back, and I wore my Hertz jersey. And if I had $1 for each time I got a Go Birds that day. Woo.
2 years ago, 2 years ago, going into the NFC Championship game against San Francisco, the day before I was in Epcot, and I wore Eagles stuff. And we were walking past, like kind of getting into ready to go around the World Showcase. And somebody yelled to me, I couldn't even see. There were so many people, so you couldn't necessarily see anybody. But it became like one person yelled "Go Birds." Then over here you heard "Go Birds." Behind me you heard "Go Birds." And it started this crazy
chain reaction
where like 30 people then started singing "Fly Eagles Fly" and EAG. It was one of the most random, unbelievable. And in Disney, there was like this many Eagles fans in one area.
Yeah. And
it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. I've heard that like they've like gotten pissed in Disney a few times when Eagles fans were there and kept chanting EAGLES Eagles. Like I heard that last year. That was a little bit of an issue.
Deal with it.
Sure. A rumor and an innuendo, if you will. But circling back here, two things here. Let's pop this up. This one's for you, Brian. Beanie, I smiled here, and Dustin, a.k.a. Goldust, talk about your balls when speaking of doing shattered dreams.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just he sets me up for it. One arm over the rope, one over the rope, one leg over the rope, one leg over the rope. I'm just sitting there waiting. I just feel it happen. And I look over at the Titantron, and there they are. And they said the camera adds 10 pounds. And I was like, how many cameras did they have on my at my area there? I look over to Dustin, and he looks at me. He goes, and he just runs and does the punt, and that every time the best was Luna Fashawn. I would see her. Every time I would see her after that, she's like, "Meanie, remember when your balls fell out on Raw?" Yes, Luna, I was there. But yeah, that just came up with Dustin talking to Chris Van Vliet. I believe that's his name.
Yep.
And it got a lot of traction. And
Nice.
It's funny that like he remembers that story too, because I've told that story a few times, and just to hear his recollection of it is pretty funny.
That's awesome.
I love it. That's awesome. I'll have to go back and check that one out.
Yeah.
Let's see. John says, bold predicts JJ struggles. Minnesota calls Atlanta and brings back Kirk Cousins. It's still missed the play. I think Kirk will end up somewhere. I don't know where he'll end up. I don't think it's Minnesota. I'd be shocked with how good. Who was their head coach? Is it Stefanski?
No, it's what's his name? Kevin McConnell.
McConnell. There we go. Stefanski. Kevin McConnell is so good at coaching quarterbacks. I would be really, really shocked. So we'll see on that. I want to get a couple bold predictions from you guys, if you have any. It could be Eagles related, it could be league related. I'm just kind of curious what you guys see, how you guys see things are coming up. So, I gave my first one. I think the Bears make the playoffs this year. I think that Caleb Williams, something gets unlocked with him, with Ben Johnson, and I think we see a much, much improved Chicago Bears team in 2025. So, anybody else got anything?
For me, I think the Lions take a huge step back.
Wow.
Yeah, they might even miss the playoffs.
Wow.
I mean, when you think about it, the last 2 years, they make the NFC Championship game. They choke in the NFC Championship game. They go into last year's playoffs as the 1 seed, favored to win. Get blown out by Washington. That's got to be. I'm in that locker room. It's kind of got feeling like, okay, what are we going to do this year?
Like what do we need to get there? Because it feels like we should have been there already.
But like, there just got to be something in the back of that coach's mind going, okay, how are we going to spectacularly blow it in the playoffs this year? Or, maybe it's a situation where, the NFC North is down to the last weekend and you need a bunch of, plays to hit, a bunch of teams to win or a bunch of teams to lose, and they get eliminated by somebody they needed to win to get that final spot into the playoffs. But, they lost both coordinators, which, I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but the fact that, the last 2 years, they choked against San Fran in the playoffs. They had a huge lead, blew that. And then they go into the Washington game, get blown out, which benefited the Eagles. They gave the Eagles a home NFC Championship game. I mean, how are they going to blow it this year? That's how I'm going into this, because they have a tough division. If it wasn't for the fact that they're in the NFC North, if they're in any other division, I might be like, okay, they get in, but they got to play those other teams a couple times a year. So I think they take a step back this year.
Would be interesting if you got, let's say Green Bay wins that division.
Yeah.
And what's there? There's 2 wild card spots, right?
Yes.
So you're talking about probably if Green Bay wins,
there's three wild cards.
3 wild cards, right?
4 division winners. 1 gets a bye. Yeah, so it's 3. I think it's 3. Yeah.
Wow. So I could see that because, you're talking about Green Bay probably wins that division then, if you don't believe that Detroit's going to make the playoffs. I think Chicago fits in somewhere. Maybe Minnesota's the 3rd team then. I mean, we would be talking about Detroit would have to finish probably last in the division. I mean, that could be a division that has, a bunch of teams that are kind of within 3 or 4 games of each other from last to first.
Yeah.
And they just beat up on each other and split a lot of games. But I'm thinking like, then obviously maybe Washington gets in. Trying to think of, see if that's the scenario. I don't think Minnesota makes the playoffs this year either. So I have to think about who else would make it from the NFC. But I mean, I'm looking. Well, I could see two. So okay, here we go. In Brian's scenario, I would have Green Bay. I would have the Rams winning their division. I would have obviously the Eagles winning their division. I'm trying to think who I would have winning the other division myself. Just making sure I'm not forgetting. The South stinks. Oh, I got Tampa Bay winning that division. So there's 4. And then we got 3 wild card spots, right?
Yeah.
So I would think it would have to be, I would think San Francisco. I would think I'm going to stick with the Bears because I think the Bears make it. And then Washington.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be a hell of a playoff race, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Everybody be scoreboard watching every week,
Yeah.
to see who's going to eke out and sneak in the back door into playoffs just to get that last spot.
I mean, maybe the Falcons too. I do think the Falcons are a team that could take a couple steps forward this year, but that's an interesting one, Brian.
And for some reason, the Bucks always seem to hang around.
I mean, Baker's been awesome with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you always, when you look at the history, like throughout the years, there's always that one team that surprises people that you're not looking at, and there's always one team that takes a step back. So I think your point, it definitely could happen, and we've seen it happen before with teams that they've been good for a while and then they take a step back, and it could be a matter of injury. It could be a matter of they're losing tight games. They're just not having luck on their side. We've seen it happen before, and it definitely could happen to them.
Absolutely. John says bold prediction: Nolan Smith, 12 sacks and 2. Oh, let's go! Giddy up! I'm in.
Ooh, I love it.
Out of that, I mean, that's like defensive player of the year numbers. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you got, Eric?
So I got one for the NFL and I've got one for the Eagles. The Eagles, I'm going to say Cooper DeJean leads the NFL in interceptions.
Ooh, speak to me.
I think he's going to be in that slot to start. It seems like, or that nickel. So I think, and I think he showed in the Super Bowl, when he's in that spot, he can make things happen. So I think he's going to have a really, really good second season. I think he's scratched the surface on that rookie campaign. I think he leads the NFL in interceptions. My NFL take, and you kind of stole mine a little bit, Chrome, with the 49ers. I think the 49ers I think they win at least a playoff game, if not 2. I'll tell you why. I think they got hit really hard with the injury bug last year, specifically McCaffrey. I think they've got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder where their kind of run kind of was halted a little bit because they got to the Super Bowl and then took a major step back last year. But I think that defense is still really strong, and it's a prove it year for Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. I'm not the biggest Brock Purdy guy, but this is a year to when you've got CMC in the backfield, I think you've got a chance to win every game. And I think that division, I think the Rams are for real, but I also think that I think there's definitely still that window for San Francisco. So I'm going to say San Francisco makes a run. I could see them in the championship game against the Eagles. I don't even think they need to win the division for that to happen either. We've seen it before. They saw it with the Eagles last year. They weren't the 1 seed. They won the Super Bowl. So I think that's my hot take. San Fran
Yeah,
makes
no,
a run.
I could see that. I could see that. I hope not, because I can't stand the
Right.
San Francisco 49ers. But
I don't like them. I can't stand them either. I don't like their fans either. But it's one of those
they're
things
rough.
where I think it's a prove it year, and I think they're coached well. I think they're. No, I don't want to see it, but I think I could see it happen. Nobody's talking about them.
Yeah, listen, I think too what's interesting about it is I think McCaffrey is going to be a really big key to this. Is he back? They say he looks like he is, but at his age, major knee injuries and leg injuries and stuff, that's
Yeah. And then they did trade for Brian Robinson, not saying he's Christian McCaffrey, but at least they've got it's
a great handcuff.
They've got somebody in case, a nice little insurance policy,
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's a great insurance policy. I'll throw my one birds out there. I'm going to go back to the one I did 2 years ago. Or 3 years ago. The year we went to the Super Bowl and lost. Jalen Hurts throws for 4,000 yards this year. I would have hit it that year if he didn't get hurt in that Chicago game towards the end of the year and he didn't finish the season. He was close. He was like 150 or 200 yards away. He does it this year. We get 4,000 yards, and I think Jalen Hurts finishes top 3 MVP. I think it's going to be a big year for Jalen. Okay. I just don't – I think Saquon's going to be huge, but we're not getting 2,000 yards Saquon. We're going to have to sling it a little bit more this year. And I'm 1,400 yards from Saquon's a monster year, especially coming off a 2,000-yard year. That's better than most people get in a single season. So I think that's where we're at. I think it's going to be the year of Jalen Hurts to silence the critics and emerge as not a fringe guy, he's there because he's a great competitor and plays well in big games. I think he steps in and shows I can be one of the top quarterbacks in this league too.
Sadly, I don't think it silences the critics because these these media experts know that when you poke the hornet's nest that is the Eagles fan base, they do things just to get us talking about their programming because they know how passionate we are and how in wrestling we always say no reaction. The worst reaction is no reaction. So a lot of these idiots on TV do things just to get a reaction, even if it's the worst take you've ever heard. Especially who's that guy I said looks like Beaker? Nick.
In our opening, Nick Wright.
Nick Wright, yeah. He makes me want to put on TV when I see that man, just because his takes are the worst. And he's got it's just, but he knows if he craps all over the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, that gets people talking about him and putting his clips out there and raises his brand.
Yep.
I wish we would learn to no sell, certain people, so they could just maybe give an honest opinion, But yeah, I would love it if Jalen had a monster year this year, because I've been on the Jalen train, day one. Once that first year he was playing, I saw that Cardinals game. Even though I think they lost that game, but just the way he played in that game, I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. This guy. So I don't really follow college sports, so I see a lot of guys first time in the NFL. So I saw him play in that game. I was like, oh man, this guy's pretty good. So I've been mocked and laughed at for defending him, but I think if he has a monster year like you say he will be, it'll be a good one to shove up everybody else's tailpipes.
Absolutely. You get the last laugh on that one though, buddy.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to give you a hard time. Let's check this one. Then I do want to get some Super Bowl predictions. Bill Godshaw, what's up, Bill? Says Bennett will be cornerback 2 if Adoree gets burnt in this game. How come nobody looks at this tape from last year? He is an upgrade over Adoree. I mean, again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, Bill. The depth on this team might be a little bit better than people think. And, we always feel like we're coming in thin and somebody tends to step up, particularly over this last, say, 4 or 5 years minus, that stretched down what was it, 6 games in 2023. It just seems to be the way this team is. Howie and the organization identify young and aging guys that can come in and contribute. So I don't think we're going to be in as bad a situation. I think Bennett will probably get his opportunities as well. I'm going to give my Super Bowl prediction first. If you guys want to give me a Super Bowl prediction. So listen, I got the Birds getting back. I got them getting back. I think it'll be tough. You don't have to do all this, but I'm going to do it. I think I see the Birds. See, the Rams is tough because I want to actually pick the Rams to get to the conference championship game. But I just don't know if Matt Stafford's back is going to be able to stand up. So I think without him, it's really, really tough. I don't think we're going to see any rematches from our last 2 experiences. So I am going to say Eagles and Green Bay conference championship game. Birds get to the Super Bowl. And I think that maybe this is a bold take. I got Denver going to the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, wow.
I'm going Birds and Broncos. I really believe in Bo Nix. I think Sean Payton knows what the vision is for Bo Nix. They've built a really good team around him, and that is so. Maybe that's another bold take, but I'm going Birds, Denver, Super Bowl. I got the Birds winning. I do. I'm not even going to feel bad about it.
For me, I have the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl. Not sure about who they would play in the NFC Championship game, but I've been calling this the last couple years in hopes that it happens because I don't think the planet's ready for it. But the Philadelphia Eagles against the Buffalo Bills. I want to see those 2 fan bases in the same stadium.
It'd be the greatest thing ever.
I don't think the world's ready. And I love the city of Buffalo. I actually like the Buffalo Bills. You know, I
don't mind them.
I'm like a football team. You know, Eagles are my number 1. But you know, I love sports. So like, if I'm have no dog in the fight, I'll pick a team whether if I wrestled in that town or not. You know, Buffalo's been good to me. You know, Baltimore's been good to me. Pittsburgh's been good to me. You know, so Buffalo. To me, Buffalo is one of the cities that's as close to Philadelphia, being like a hard, blue collar town, hardworking people that they do crazy things just like we do. You know, they have a blizzard. Their fans are, getting snowmobiles and, taking the players to the airport. And
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my Super Bowl dream match would be Eagles Buffalo, with the Eagles winning.
I think if it's not Denver, at Buffalo is my second choice to get to the Super Bowl. I would love that. Not even for on field, although on field would be tremendous to see Josh Allen versus Jalen Hurts too. But man, I didn't even think of it from that perspective. That would be a wild,
there's like a low key rivalry brewing there. When you see the game they played in that rainstorm 2 years ago, our fans, players, and then we're playing them this year. Which I hate that they have it the last game of the season because we're probably going to be resting starters. So, so I wish, they were playing it earlier this year. I think the Eagles and Buffalo is like a slow simmering rivalry that we're going to see a lot of great games out of. But I think they make it to the Super Bowl and to face each other this year.
I love it. Eric, what do you got?
I'm jumping on the Bills train. So Eagles back in the Super Bowl. And I'm going to go with my bold 49ers, staying consistent. I do think there will be a team that takes a step back, and I think that's where San Francisco kind of goes. I think San Fran is a wild card. I think the Eagles will be the 1 seed. I think San Fran will be a wild card and kind of, get on a roll, and it'll be Eagles at home against the Niners in the championship game. I think the Eagles will be back in the Super Bowl. The AFC, Buffalo. I think I can't sleep on Kansas City yet. I don't think they're going back, but I think you could see them back in the championship game. I think Denver's going to compete, and they could win the division. It could be the same thing where Kansas City gets in as a wild card and makes a run, but you can't count out Patrick Mahomes yet. And I think they're PO'd, getting embarrassed in the Super Bowl. So I think they're gonna make a run, but I think they fall short. I think Josh Allen finally gets over that hump of losing to Kansas City. And I think that Super Bowl will be like you said, Brian. It's my goodness, like people throwing Eagles fans and Bills Mafia in one parking lot. Where is the Super Bowl? Is that in
San Francisco, maybe?
Oh yeah. So So Santa Clara, get ready for Bills Mafia and Eagles fans going crazy, putting each other through tables. But I think the Eagles win in a very competitive Super Bowl. I think I definitely can see it where Buffalo's just ready. I don't know if you guys have watched Hard Knocks. Josh Allen just seems like the nicest, coolest dude. Like I want to be his friend. Like he's just like, I don't know what it is. He's like very like just relaxed and having fun. You can just tell he's just like he's just a nice guy. And I would, if I wasn't an Eagles fan, I'd be rooting for him to win one. He's just he just seems like a good leader and a good teammate. And for the city of Buffalo, I think they're just they're starving, kind of like we were in 2017. But it's not their time yet. Eagles Super Bowl.
Absolutely. I look at Allen and Mahomes as the new Brady Manning kind of feud where Mahomes is in the Tom Brady role of getting to the Super Bowls, winning them, and Peyton Manning, as great as a quarterback he is, he always had to compete with a Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And, Josh Allen is always having to compete with a Pat Mahomes. This is the modern age of that. So I think, and this could be benefit the Eagles too. Imagine, the Chiefs and Bills in the playoffs. Bills finally eliminate the Chiefs out of playoffs, and that's their Super Bowl win. So when they get to face the Eagles in the Super Bowl, they've just shot all their emotions out the window, and they come in, and the Eagles win that game. So
yeah, I don't. Maybe this is another bold prediction. I don't have Kansas City going very far in the playoffs this year.
No, I think they're tired. I think look, they've been playing in the last game of the year for how many years? They've never really had a consistent off season where they had time to rest and reload, and this last time, against the Eagles, they got, I hate when people say the word exposed because I sound like a Cowboys fan, but just they got a little exposed, this time around, and I don't see them. They're not going to outright suck, but they're going to struggle this year.
Yeah.
It
could be very.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. I just think there's one last gasp, and if anybody can get it out of them, it's Andy.
Yeah.
I think just that factor, like just the fact that they're so well coached. I think they're just maybe it could be a complete struggle for them, but I also think it's possible they could come on late in the year and just squeak in and then get that momentum to like. I'm with you, Chrome. I think Denver's for real. But I think also you could see Kansas City come on at the end, squeak in, and then make a run. I think that's where I think it could be where they struggle early. They got they get off to a slow start, and then
it's the usual. They struggle early and then they end up going on a run the second half. The shoe has to drop at some point. It did for New England. Even in between, they had gaps where they weren't as good. Kansas, and at some point, it has to happen for Kansas City.
Yep.
Travis Kelce is getting older. Like we saw, I know at points late in the year, he started to look like his old self. I just don't think he can maintain that level. And there's a lot of pressure. They have great young players on that team. I don't think that you can maintain that level forever. And I just feel like even if it's for 1 year, I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but at some point, somebody's going to have to knock them off early, and it's going to happen. And I feel like it's this year, whether it's Lamar and the Ravens, whether it's Joe Burrow and Cincinnati, whoever it is, whether it's Bo Nix and Denver. I just feel like this is the year it's going to happen. But yeah, it was all good stuff, guys. Brian, if you want to stay on for this last little segment, you're welcome to. I don't know if you saw anything for Clash and Castle, but we wanted to just drop a few news and notes in.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but
well, let me get your opinion on this then before you jump off.
Sure.
We've been talking a lot about the John Cena farewell tour, right? And I know you watch, so
yeah.
One of our big topics was over the last couple weeks is I think a couple weeks ago we talked about just kind of analyzing the heel run, and obviously we know certain things maybe we thought were going to be included, i.e. The Rock and Travis Scott.
Yeah.
Didn't pan out the way that it did, and that kind of hurt it. And we talked about, did they do enough to be able to recover from it? And then last week, we got a little bit more in depth on if the heel turn hurt the back half of the John Cena of the John Cena farewell tour, because I don't think any of us who have been on here and talked about it were opposed to. I loved the heel run for what it was. I thought you saw a great dynamic. It made it meaningful. It gave an opportunity where, one of the things I said, Brian, I don't know if you agree with this, is, I think people like Randy Orton and CM Punk now are at the point where, whether they're good or bad is irrelevant. People want to cheer them.
Yeah. So
they're going to be they're almost too over to not be faces at this point. Punk, maybe you can make an argument for it, but I mean, just Randy Orton, I don't think he's ever going to be able to be a believable heel anymore. He could still be the tweener he is, but so I thought the heel run also kind of helped out to allow those guys in their roles to gain their momentum, and you got the John Cena classic matches we wanted to see. But then before the Logan Paul match was tremendous last night, by the way, or yesterday. But one of the things we talked about was Logan Paul cut a promo with John Cena 2 weeks ago, and John Cena kept talking about how he wasn't deserving and that he should be having matches with Dom Mysterio, Jacob Fatu, and all these people, AJ Styles, and it kind of put a light off in our head where we said, are we doing a shoot thing here where it's not necessarily on Logan, but it's the idea of, this run could have been utilized to put more, I guess utilized better for Jacob Fatu and for these guys to be able to get a run instead of, the pining for The Rock to come back in at some point. It never really happened. They kind of had to pivot real quick.
Yeah.
So I guess it was a long way of getting there, but I just want to set the table for the topics we brought in. Do you think that for these last, 9 dates, Eric, or 8 dates he has left, do you think that heel run hurt the back end of this to where we're going to kind of feel like a little bit of meat's left on the bone? Or are you, even though you didn't get everything you wanted, are you happy with the way for the overall that this has played out?
I mean, when it comes to the heel turn, the actual execution of it was great, and if it would have panned out the way I guess they expected it to, it might have been a great thing. But I'm just glad they realized that it wasn't working, and they brought back babyface John Cena just to go out on a high note. I mean, I can't imagine Cena leaving wrestling, being a heel. Just they kind of got that Men in Black mind eraser thing, and all right, this never happened. It's like when they do
Yeah.
final episode of a show and the guy wakes up, and they did an alternative take for Breaking Bad where he wakes up and he's the dad from Malcolm in the Middle. He's like, I had this horrible dream that I was selling meth. I don't know if it would hurt if they would maybe add dates to the farewell. Maybe, who knows, as a make good. But you're talking about the people he could potentially having a run with, and saying that to Logan Paul. But in some ways, him saying those names in the promo to Logan Paul kind of puts them over in his legacy, because if John Cena's saying these guys are worthy, or saying he should be facing these guys on the way out, that could be just as good in the fans' eyes to say, oh wow, Cena put his stamp of approval on him. Cena's words and his actions are well thought out, and his words have a lot of equity. So when he says something, there's a lot of value in there. So the fact that he named those guys in those in the promos means he thinks that highly of them, and that tells the fans that they should think that highly of those performers, even if they already do. That just adds more credibility to the people he adds to. But I don't know if it hurt his legacy, because we got 9 dates left. Let's see how well they choose these dates and what to do with them. But it'll be what is his last date?
It's like December.
I think it's December 13th, Saturday night's main event. 13th, yeah.
Gotcha. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just gonna put on my fan hat and go along with the ride just as well. But do I think the heel turn hurt? Didn't help, but it's what's the saying? I'd rather try something and fail than not try and wonder what if.
Well, that's the point Eric made last week was, if they didn't do it, I think that question would have always been out there, right? And
yep.
And nothing will ever take away the immediate impact of it, right? Like it's kind of like you go back and look at the Austin heel turn from WrestleMania 17, right? The follow through was not like, it's not anything you're going to write home about. I can't remember a whole lot of it other than, like his heel run as, the face of the alliance to me was more memorable than really that was, right?
Yeah.
I guess that was part of it, but like, the goofy stuff. But the execution of it at 17, though, is still a moment you can go back and watch. You're like, oh shit. Like, so I feel like that's kind of what it is. And I do think you got some really great promos. And I think that he was able to do like working shoots with some of the stuff he said, because he did say dysfunctional relationship. Like, obviously it's a fun way to put that. He just flip-flopped on me all these years, and I gave, I constantly stuck with it. But like, I mean, he's supportive of that, obviously, in real life. But
yeah,
going that angle of like, even going back to the one night stands and stuff, right? When it went against RVD, he harped back on all this stuff that was like all this ammunition, but and I do think that was monumental and memorable. The overall ending execution, I think, was tough, and obviously, I think when they turned him back face, me and Eric even said I didn't think it was the timing, because I always kind of figured around SummerSlam or after they would turn him back face for the last few months. I don't think they went the route they thought they would get there, but they got there.
Yeah. Sometimes sometimes it's just best to go. All right, we're pivoting right now. Go out there, could have made promo. Let's say we only have so many dates left. Yeah, we don't have time to stretch this out. Just go out there and cut a babyface promo and do the old Sergeant Slaughter. I want my country back.
Yeah, I love it.
I want my country back, you puke.
So good. Brian, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for getting on today.
Sorry I'm late. I'll have
That's
to
okay.
learn how to set a proper alarm to remind me. Let's do this
You're
again.
good, bro.
Nah,
You're
this
good.
is awesome.
We'll circle back. We'll circle back next month after week 4, and we'll get back on and do it again. But we appreciate you, brother, as always. Friend to the show, friend to A2D Radio, friend to me personally. Great guy. And I did see Tracy last week too. It was great to see Tracy. So give her
Yes,
our
she
love.
said she saw you. That was great. That's awesome.
Yeah. I almost tripped on a curb trying to run up to her to give her a hug. Outside of the arena, I wasn't paying attention, and you saw Eric. I was like, there's Mrs. Beatty, and I started walking. I almost face planted.
Yeah,
I
it
caught
was a face
myself.
plant.
Oh no.
It was worth it. It was worth it. Tracy's tremendous. But anyway, we love you, brother. We'll catch you soon, man.
Love you guys. Thanks for having me. Go Birds.
Yes. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Fuck Dallas.
Oh, it's great.
Great to have him on there. Eric, we got about 5 minutes left. Let's get our quick thoughts. So do you want to start or you want me to jump in here and just give you my thoughts are quick.
With Clash in Paris?
Yeah, we'll wrap. We may as well go to the 2-hour mark. We're 4.5 minutes away.
So I said last week I was kind of leery about this PLE because I felt that they were putting more emphasis on WrestlePalooza. I was pleasantly surprised at the show. I mean, a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I think it was about 4 hours long. Definitely some highlights, and definitely some stuff that kind of we could have done without. But I think overall the execution was really good. I really like what we saw with Roman, and writing him off and making Braun and Bronson look strong, even though Bronson lost. And I also am intrigued by the ending of the main event, particularly Becky running in, and could we see the return of the former Divas champion, Mrs. Punk, Mrs. Brooks? It definitely looks like they're going that way. But we shall see. And it maybe she traveled with them, and maybe we see something in about in a few hours. Because Raw is at 2 p.m. today, so we shall see. Logan Cena was we talked about was excellent. Nikki and Becky could have been better, but it is what it is.
Listen, Nikki hasn't been in the ring in a while. I got to give her some grace. I as much as I love Becky, I don't think Becky's one that can wrestle with a broom and have a great match every time. I think she's very good, but I don't think she's one of those that I would never worry about. She can get in the ring with anybody and I'm not going to have an issue. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't quite, I'm not quite at that point with Becky. I do think she too, as she's gotten a little bit, older and taking these breaks, I think at times shows ring rust. So where not every spot is clean and things that we always saw before, she was always on point. But I'm not knocking. I thought it was fine. It was what it was. You know what I mean? We got some great promos out of it.
True.
So
I definitely think too, you could tell there was some reality in some of the promos that they were doing, and that always makes it better. I'm not saying the match was completely off the rails. I think there were some spots, you're seeing the viral spots where that missed spot with the kick off the ropes and some of the stuff on the outside. But I mean, I think Nikki hit some spots that were strong. Some of her move set, but I think also, and I think it definitely could have been better, but also could have been worse as well. What other the Wyatt Six and Street Profits looks like they're good. Very, very good. And I again teasing the breakup again of the Street Profits. Could we see it? Maybe it's time, maybe it's not. We'll see. But I think overall, like I said, I think it was stronger than I thought it was going to be. And now, we'll see. We got the big WrestlePalooza coming up, so we'll
Wrestle.
Yeah.
Mitchapalooza.
Feel like ECW.
I can't get it out of my head. Every time I hear it, I think of the movie Old School, Mitchapalooza. My quick thoughts on this. Yeah, main event, very good. I liked that it wasn't super long. It was only like a 20-minute match, give or take a couple minutes. I was really a big fan of the ending. I do think that this is going to lead to something working with AJ. So I don't know if you saw the clip of him as he was walking away. I think a fan had a sign like something about AJ, and he looked at it and punked it. So I think, those things I don't think are typically by accident.
No.
So that might be something you get for WrestlePalooza to go up against All In. That would be a really big draw. And yeah, I think Roman and Bronson, loved it. Thought the match was great. Roman looks like he is in unbelievable shape, by the way. He's lean, but he's still big, but he's lean. He's moving very, I just think he's moving so much better than we've seen him move in years. Roman looks like $1 million. And Bronson Reed is one of the best talents they have. It's bar none. He is so good. This is the potential we thought that he could have back when he was in NXT. Actually, I think he's already exceeding what I expected. And I just, I like Braun. I just think it's like the same old thing over and over.
Yeah. I saw some comparisons.
I'm a crazy
online.
Steiner.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I saw some comparisons of Bronson Reed to Bam Bam Bigelow. Like they don't have anybody.
It's great.
They don't have anybody like him.
Yeah.
Like he's a big guy. He's not a fat guy. He's just a big guy. That does
super athletic.
He does stuff off the top rope. He's a brawler. He's just different than he's one of those guys, and I'm stealing from somebody, like he's a guy when you go through the air, they always say like that wow factor. You walk through the airport and you see Bronson Reed, like, whoa, what does this guy do?
He's got to be somebody famous, right?
Yeah, so he's just different than everybody else on the roster.
Yeah, I just think with him, he's putting all the tools together. I think with Bronson Reed, his athletic ability, and when he does talk, it is impactful. He doesn't need to a lot. He's got Paul. The Shula follow was something tremendous. I wish we were still kind of rolling with it, but it doesn't seem we're going to go that way. My own critique on this was I felt like it kind of went on too long. Where to get to the end, like from the moment the match ended and the beatdown at the end, I also thought why is Jey Uso not coming back out? Why is he not out to begin with? Like at that point, if you're going to bring him out earlier, or don't bring him out at all. And I thought that was a little bit awkward, but I'm nitpicking. But yes, it was kind of what we thought. Like I didn't think that he needed to beat Roman. You could still make him look strong, and that kind of the way it played out, I thought was exactly that. The other thing with John Cena and Logan Paul, I think we got exactly what I thought we needed last week, Eric. Logan Paul does not need to win this match, but could this be one of those, on his best of DVD type of matches? Coliseum video, 100%. I thought he looked tremendous. Cena, how about Cena with the wing? Was it the Winged Angel or whatever? The Christopher Daniels finisher.
Yeah, he did the Styles Clash also. He did the Pop Rocks. Thing. I said
Canadian
Destroyer. Yeah, Canadian Destroyer. There you go. I said last week I thought Logan needed this win. After watching the match, I think Logan got what he even if he won, I think he got as much out of it losing that match. Okay. And and like I said, I thought we were going to see Brock. And I thought that was the way Logan was going to win. But I'm curious to see how they bring him back. Do we see him? We won't see him on Raw. We'll see him on SmackDown. I think that's Cena's next. I think he's advertised not this week, but the following week. So we might not see Lesnar until then. So that's why I thought maybe we see that, but we didn't. But I think it was a nice that was a great match. And seeing his last two with Cody and now with Logan, like he's going out like we talked about,
going out with a bang.
You're seeing the execution. They pivoted from the heel run, and he's got two classic matches that people are going to be talking about for during this last run. So I'm curious to see what happens next. I'm guessing Lesnar. So I'm sure they'll deliver there as well.
Absolutely. This was a great show today. A little something different here for Lazy Booking. We're based out of Philadelphia, and we want to. One of our best pals of the show is a Birds fan. We used to do this a couple years ago where we did a monthly Eagles update show, and I thought, talked to him and said, why not bring it to Lazy Booking on an official capacity? So we're very excited. I know Brian feels really bad about running late this morning. I told him, don't worry about it. He is the most on-time and communicative person I've ever met. So he's
good.
Usually
how are you?
good. We're saying hi to his neighbors over here. He's down the shore.
I can't be rude. You too.
I know you can't.
Can't be rude.
No, you're good. You're good. But listen, this was a great show. Thank you to Tom for jumping on for our opening topic. Tom Arnone, first time, maybe second time on Lazy Book. I think first time. Having Tom on here, the godfather of A2D Radio. Obviously, Brian Heffron, the Blue Meanie, joining us. Eagles talk. And we had to throw a little wrestling at the end for our loyal wrestling base that watches our show. And there's a lot of football fans that like it too. So if you guys like this show, if you like everything here at A2D, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Share this out. Let your friends know about it. If you haven't yet, throw a like on the video on your way out, please. We are typically a Tuesday show. We did it for the holiday and to be able to get Brian on. So it worked out really good. We were able to get the four of you guys on, well, including me, four of us on here at different points. So great show. Go Birds this week. Next week we'll be back our regular Tuesday time, somewhere start time around 6:30. And we'll give you some wrestling talk again. And as far as this, the Lazy Booking Podcast Birds Edition will be coming back to you after week 4. We're going to do this every 4 weeks. So every 4 games, I should say. So for myself, Eric Archer, the Blue Meanie, Brian Heffron, Tom Arnone, and everybody at A2D Radio, and for our sponsor, Dr. Paul Vidal and Specialized Physical Therapy. Find him at that site right there. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And beat Dallas. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
And have a great rest of your Labor Day.
See you guys.
Peace.